Okay, I admit it. This may not be a very positive video about silver, but I only present it to you as a warning for those of you who are especially new in stacking silver, and a lesson that I'm going to share with you that will serve you very well as we explore. There's pluses and minuses, pros and cons with everything out there. There's ways to make money and lose money on pretty much everything, including things that are not investments. That's right. Things that are not investments, hedges as well. You know, the most stable stores of wealth out there, you can lose big time on. That includes gold, but especially silver. And why is silver the metal that I'm pointing out here? Because, well, it's the one that's most available to those across a spectrum of income levels and your socioeconomic status. So this is why this video is so important. And you can pretty much take everything I say to the negative side and turn it around to the positive side to how you can actually make money on silver and win big time with silver. But in the end, it's not about winning or losing. It's about preserving. That is the goal. That's what I try to do on this channel, is to bring balance. You know, when I talk about bringing balance in terms of wealth preservation and silver and gold stacking and accumulation of these items, you know, I am not very much a middle of the road kind of guy. I have very conservative political viewpoints, but also tend to be very conservative fiscally as well. And that is the notion that I'm taking. That's the avenue I'm taking. And conservative and fiscally is something that I think is not necessarily about taking big risks. I'm about minimizing risk on all levels. And by the way, whenever you do stack and preserve your wealth with gold and silver, you are increasing the risk of them being taken from you, which is why you need to go to, anyway, to some extent, an extreme in order to protect them. And that security is so important when you're stacking silver. But that's another subject for another time. But let's talk a little bit about how you can lose big time with silver. And that is to buy silver at the highest price possible and as much of it as you can muster, as much of it as you can afford, and then some. And going into debt to do it, as well as a sugar on top, or frosting on top, or cherry on top. And when you go into debt in order and buy it at the highest price possible. Now, that seems like a no-brainer, right? That's obvious. Most of us probably wouldn't do that. In fact, most of us operate under the premise of some form of dollar cost averaging. I'm going to get into that in a moment, but I'm going to share with you a story that I posted a video about a while ago, that I want to remind you about this one circumstance, about one man who had private messaged me. That's right, a PM on YouTube. Private messages used to be a thing in YouTube back in the day. I've been around a long time. But this individual sent me a private message, complaining about how he had lost so much money to the tune of $58,000 by stacking these. That's right, Silver Eagle coins at the height of silver's price, and also increased premiums as well too. And Silver Eagles are the most recognized and most popular bullion option out there between all of the precious metals around the world. This is the most recognized and most sold, the American Silver Eagle. And as we've seen fluctuating premiums through the course of its history, the most recent premiums that we've seen in recent months and years here on the American Silver Eagle really is not anything new. We've been here before, mainly because the United States Mint does not produce enough to demand, even though they're mandated by law in order to do so. But notwithstanding, that causes high premiums. But when spot price went up in 2011, this individual spent, I think, $100,000 or whatever, and only got about $40,000 or so back when he went to sell them. He sold them at the low, bought them at the high out of frustration because he put all of his eggs in one basket. He put all of his silver in several monster boxes of the same type of coin, high premium coin, although very liquid at the time. He made a massive mistake by doing that, thinking that it was just going to climb higher. And by the way, I myself thought that it was going to go higher at the time. Many people thought during 2012 that we were seeing some lulls in the silver price, but it was about to rocket back up again after 3 rounds of quantitative easing. There's no way that this can last much longer. We've gone into debt. We had accumulated more debt in those 4 years of the Obama administration and 3 rounds of quantitative easing, massive money printing at the time. Of course, look where we're at now. What's been happened since then pales in comparison to what Obama did and what George W. Bush did before him, and then all 42 presidents behind George W. Bush. Massive debt. Right now we're seeing $32 trillion plus in debt, and it's climbing up at a dramatic rate. And silver is, for all intents and purposes, still less than half of its all-time high. Debt to silver ratio is something that we don't really calculate because there's no use to calculate that. I was asked about that in a comment on a video, because it doesn't matter how much debt we have, really. Silver is affected by so many different things in the marketplace. And this individual who lost $58,000, don't know where he went. I got that message, responded back to it, and never heard back from the individual. I felt bad for him, but he should have spread that out. He should have been a lot smarter with his money. Likely he probably saw a video on YouTube that said it was about to just skyrocket from here on out, and took them and probably took bad advice from people on YouTube and other places, and he made a $58,000 mistake, big time. So you don't buy silver, a bunch of it, when the price is spiked up like that. You just don't do it. You don't do that with anything. You spread your costs around, you spread your risk around, and you can do that even within one metal. You can do that within one type of metal, even Silver Eagles. I think most of us realize, I and others have posted videos within the last few months saying, do not buy Silver Eagles for stacking when the premiums are, up to 50% high, 50% higher than spot price. Yeah, you might, want to complete your date run sets. That's fine. That's a different that's collecting. That's not stacking. But you don't want to buy at inflated premiums. And you don't want to buy when the spot price just rockets up and shoots up 4% in one day either. It's a risk. Or you don't want to make a whole huge purchase of a whole bunch of Silver Eagles or any kind of silver in reality. There's different types of silver to buy, by the way. Higher premium, based off of higher demand, very liquid stuff like this. But you can get other sovereign silver pieces for a lot lower, a lot closer to spot price, that are almost as recognizable and almost as liquid. And then there are other privately issued pieces such as this, or unmarked, unbranded, which would be generic silver. But privately issued buffaloes are a very popular option and very liquid as well. Bars and 10-ounce bars, I think, are kind of the sweet spot in terms of the premiums you pay for silver. And you can get a lot of silver and packed up in a very small space like this. In a 10-ounce bar like this versus 10 Silver Eagles, what is easier to manage? If you're stacking a bunch of silver, it's going to be the 10-ounce bars. So that is an option in order to save a little bit there too when you're buying your silver. And when you get spot price back for it, well, you're taking a little bit less of a loss than you would if you get, maybe a 50 cents or $1 above spot for your Silver Eagles, and you're paying a large than spread for the amount you paid for it. You have to hold it for a lot longer in order to get it back. So you implement dollar cost averaging. That is how you're going to protect yourself and how not to lose big time with silver. By dollar cost averaging, not putting all of your money in one big massive purchase of silver at the highest price possible, at the top of the market. Just don't do that. You dollar cost average at the least, and And in fact, I used to use the term smart dollar cost averaging. I've stopped using that term. I've thought of a new term, and I want you to post it in the comments section down below if you've made it this far. It's called enhanced dollar cost averaging, because I don't want my term smart dollar cost averaging to imply that dollar cost averaging is dumb. My good friend Tucson Bubba pointed that out to me a while ago, and he's really right, even though that wasn't my intention to imply that. Essentially, because dollar cost averaging is a smart thing to do. But when you take it a little bit step further and you enhance it, you by buying a little bit more silver when the price is lower, and the premiums have dropped, and you buy maybe a little bit less when the price starts to spike up in a couple of days, because you never know, it could keep going higher. And so you spread that risk around a little bit. So you're buying a little bit less than you normally would when the prices spike up, especially radically in a few days. And when the prices go down, especially if they fall radically, you might want to get in on that fairly quick, and you might want to buy a little bit more or outside of your normal buying period. It's about being agile, essentially. That's what enhanced dollar cost averaging is. It's about being agile. And so enhanced dollar cost averaging is the key here. I might talk a little bit more about that in another video, but how to lose big time buying silver, where you're going to never get your head out of it. In fact, this individual, if you were to hold on to that silver today, he would have lost probably less on it, but still would have lost today. That's how widespread this massive fail was that this guy did. He spent $100,000 on silver back in 2011. And boy, if he would have held on to that even today, he would have lost big time. Maybe not as much as he lost when he liquidated it, but still, bad news. Don't do it. Do not lose out on silver. Silver is about preserving what you already have. It's not necessarily about the aim to gain. It's about preserving what you have. Your purchasing power. That is key, folks. So I hope you found this video informative, insightful, and educational. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for watching, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and hold on to that silver.